Hello and welcome to Bronze Age Monsters, the show where we wade into the weirdest and wildest waters of the comic books of the 1970s. This season on B.A.M, we're covering the brief life of Atlas Seaboard Comics, the publishing venture of Martin Goodman that some say was a middle finger to Marvel and Stan Lee. Revenge is a dish best served in 4 colors. I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners and viewers. Jacob, let's do top of the thing. Last episode, we had our great friend Brad Elmer on to talk about Howard Chaykin's The Scorpion. And that was a live that we did. We had a great time. And one of our pack numbers, I think, sent in a letter that was cool that we wanted to share. We asked permission because we're cool like that.
Yes, it was David, a.k.a. David. And he wrote in, "Hi, Matt and Jacob. I enjoyed your discussion of these issues with Brad. I'm not bored by these Chaykin comics, but his arguments make sense and tell me something about myself and what I like in a comic. I use storytelling differently from Brad. I think of that term being how the narrative flows within a page and from page to page. Plot, characterization, and motives would be story. Compared to many Bronze Age comics, the pace of storytelling seems fairly crisp and modern. It's notable to me that there are no thought balloons in the second issue and only a few in the first. It's an interesting point. The other big difference in the second issue is that Morrow is Batmaning his way around town. In the first issue, he got places using vehicles, which seems more practical. That did make me want to confirm that in the oft-referred to CBA article, Chaykin said he penciled the second issue and his friends inked it. If that is the case, they did fine Chaykin impressions, but if they laid out some pages and Chaykin finished them, that might explain the change in the means of travel. Happy to be mistaken. If you confirmed, that's what the man said. Anyway, enjoying the season. Best wishes, David." And yes, it is confirmed in there that it was a bunch of people just getting together for a party at Chaykin's house and his apartment and finishing it. I think there are 5 inkers, I think, that were credited on GCD that worked on that. And but yeah, I agree with him in a lot of ways. I mean, I wasn't that bored with it. I thought it was pretty cool, and I liked it quite a bit. I thought the storytelling was really kind of crisp and modern, for as modern as it could be for such a kind of throwback story in a lot of ways. I don't know, it was weird. Chaykin's whole take on that, I think, was strange enough that it really kept me interested. I actually really loved The Scorpion.
I enjoyed it quite a bit too. I feel like sometimes I feel like the dude where you just kind of pick up things you hear and just start incorporating them into your dialogue, into your language. And, this aggression will not stand, man. I feel like I do tend to pick up what people are doing and kind of vibe with people and empathetic in that way. So I think I was probably aligning with Brad during the conversation, but I think standing alone on my own, I think I liked it more than I maybe let on. But, again, I'm a pulp hero guy. I love the pulps. I love the Shadow. I love Doc Savage. I love all the things that they're kind of doing there. So, I enjoyed it. And I appreciate that letter from David.
Yeah, me too. Sorry if I have weird reactions. There are insane thunderstorms going on right now that just sound like the outside is just being destroyed. So,
yes.
We'll see what happens with power and internet and all that. But if I jump or make crazy reactions, that's because the world is falling apart outside in a very biblical way.
I like that your settings on your mic or whatever on this in StreamYard are auto muting that. So you're reacting to things we don't hear. So it's kind of like when you see behind the scenes footage of a restaurant scene and all the extras just going,
yeah,
or when they're dancing, nothing's going on. Okay, cut. Yep. Everybody, let's do that dance scene one more time.
Yep, that's me. That is basically, I'm doing the monkey.
Yeah. It's funny.
So yeah,
do the dog. Do the dog.
Can't stop doing the monkey.
Do we drink for Simpsons references? Can
we just do that from now on?
Yeah.
Last season, drink for Simpsons references. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Last week I was on the road and I had such a crazy schedule. We couldn't record from the hotel room like we've done in the past. So I had texted Jacob on his birthday, around his birthday, and said, "Hey, what do you want to release? It's your birthday." And he chose to release some gated material that was just for pack members and Star Gods, our Patreon tiers. And he chose his personal favorite, I believe, of our gated stuff we've done, which was Skywald's Shoggoth Saga. And so, we put that out last week in lieu of an episode. So everyone has access to that. Someone did point out to me that the old Google Drive to the PDF I made of the Shoggoth Saga was broken. Like I think I deleted that. So I will update that in the previous episode. But yeah, and also if it's not working for you, whatever, just contact us through Instagram or Blue Sky or whatever, and I'll send you a link to that because it's all public domain, but you'd have to go to archive.org and hunt down Psycho issue 10 and Scream issue 12, and like it's kind of a pain in the ass. So we made a PDF of it, so you can check it out, and I hope you guys liked it. And I hope that our enthusiasm for the material came across because we had a blast talking about it.
I actually listened to it today.
Oh yeah,
you know, I hadn't listened to it since we did it, and yeah, I loved it. I honestly think that's my favorite thing we've done. It's so fun and exciting, and yeah, I think it is the most we have sounded like little kids in all the years that we've done this.
Yeah, and I believe that came towards the end of the Creature Commandos season where we were feeling a little knocked back on our heels or a little just underwhelmed with an entire run of a comic, which hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that, but I'm sure that's a contributing factor.
So yeah, that was just like getting a breath of fresh air after being locked in a locker full of farts for 3 months. So that was my that's how it felt to me. And it's just good comicking. It's just weird stuff. So yeah. Please check that out if you haven't. If you don't think that you care about non-color comic stuff, I think you're going to dig it. It's black and white horror magazine stuff from Skywald, and it's weird and funny and meta, and it's weird stuff, and I think you'll dig it. Okay, are we ready to dive into this week's offering?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we are doing Tales of Evil #1, and this is so according to GCD, this hit the stands December 24th of 1974, Jacob. We have still not got into the actual year Atlas officially existed yet as far as stand dates.
It's just so weird. Like, I don't understand how it's possible.
It feels like we're just running it's like a dream, like you're just running in oatmeal trying to get away from a monster, and it's you're not making any headway. God damn. So it's cover dated February 75. It was bi-monthly. It lasted 3 issues, much like many of the other things we're talking about. And this is a horror anthology. So they were taking their stab at non-magazine, non-black and white horror comics, which are hard to pull off well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times the black and white format, the more adult stuff of the magazine, the relaxed kind of code stuff really helps. And so it's tough to do it in 4 colors. So we have a cover here by Larry Lieber with uncredited inks by Giacoya, who was one of our favorites. We love this guy.
Yeah.
And every time I see a Larry Lieber piece of art, I realize more and more each time, like he really just apes Kirby. Right. That's his main influence, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Like in faces, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the face of this guy on this cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a typical kind of almost like a gothic romance kind of setting here where there's a manor in the background with the lights on. There's a full moon. There's moors or whatever, or fields and a tree. And in the background, a woman is coming from the mansion saying, "John, what happened?" Eee! And in the foreground, we have a hairy beast man in incredibly shredded clothes. And he's standing over a deceased blonde dude in a suit on the ground. And he looks very Kirby-ish to me.
Yeah, he does. I don't believe this happens in the issue.
Oh, well
so
done.
We have to drink for that one.
We do. That's deserved. We earned that one. As far as just impact to me, I'm a sucker for this content. I like the Tales of Evil logo quite a bit.
Me too.
I don't think we sent this to the designer who made the Bronze Age Monsters logo, but it should have been because this was definitely the vibe we were going for the Bronze Age Monsters logo. But I mean, I would have pulled this off the stand in 1975. I would have said, "This is for me. It's 25 cents. I'm buying it." What about you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, this is just like, it hits everything that I like. I mean, it's corny as hell, and it's not super well done. But the Tales of Evil title and the font I love, and you're right. It just hits everything I love. So yeah, I would have picked it up too, even though I think objectively not a great cover.
It's not great, but I mean, it does, like, some of the layout works for me, like the dead guy in the foreground, the threat immediately behind him, and then the sex or whatever in the background. Like, it kind of works, but it's just not that extra oomph to get over the barrier to be great. It's not there,
No,
which Lieber rarely achieves that for me. So
it really doesn't. Yeah.
No offense to Lair.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's jump in. All right. So the title of our opening tale is Spawn of the Devil. Our cast of creators, we got story by Russ Jones, art by Jerry Grandenetti, and we have Larry Lieber, editor. Just weird. I don't know. The placement's weird. Like, just story art, and then Larry's like, no, I got to get above, but it's going to be a really tiny little font. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of strange, but yeah. So Russ Jones, Russ Jones, aka Jack Younger, we last saw in Police Action #1. I think is the writer of Lomax, and yeah, he writes all 3 of the stories that we're going to be talking about tonight. But the big name, and the one that I think you and I both really, really enjoy his stuff, is Jerry Grandenetti. So, Jerry Grandenetti, he first kind of came on the scene with Eisner, really, working on The Spirit. And, well, that was his first big thing. He originally worked for Busy Arnold over at Quality, doing a bunch of different stuff. He went to the Pratt Institute on the GI Bill after he got out of World War II, worked at Quality, but then hooked up with Will Eisner, and he started working on the Sunday newspaper Spirit, I think. And so, yeah, Grandenetti worked really, really closely with Eisner. And yeah, it was really cool. He said that working with him, obviously, was really, really exciting. And after that, he kind of became more famous for his war titles that he did with DC, which he did a ton of stuff. And his stuff is beautiful. It's much more like kind of painted wash, kind of in that kind of DC style a bit. But yeah, his DC war stuff is unbelievably great. Mm-hmm. He also worked for Charlton and Tower, and not too much Marvel stuff, really. I think maybe just a Submariner story, a few other things, but not much. Mostly DC. He later would go on to work for Warren. He'd do stuff for Creepy and Eerie, and yeah, but he kind of stuck around DC quite a bit. And yet he was also lucky enough to provide the source material for not 1, but 2 Lichtenstein paintings. Yeah. First, Jet Pilot is the real famous one, and that's taken from All American Men of War 89 from 1962. The other one was As I Opened Fire. That was taken from the very next issue, All American Men of War 90. So, yeah, and, do the comparisons again. And, he just changes the angle a little bit. Millions of dollars.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about that, so don't need to belabor the point. But yeah, it's every time I see it, I'm like, ooh, that kind of sucks.
I was enjoying I knew you were doing research because you're the research guy, half of us, but I was taking around a bit. I was enjoying some quotes from Grandenetti about how Kanigher, they were paired together during the 60s, and Kanigher just stood on his balls and was like, don't make it all like photorealistic. He hated Grandenetti's experimental, more kind of abstract or impressionistic things, which I love, like where he veers into cartooning more than comicking, I guess. But yeah, Kanigher did not dig it.
No, he didn't. And yeah, I think they pretty much hated each other, but not shocking for, Bob Kanigher. So, but it did produce some amazing art. Like there are times, there's some covers there. Hopefully I might stick a couple in here where it's just like, okay, you want realistic, here's realistic. He's doing that wash thing you were talking about, but goddamn, they're just gorgeous stuff. It's so good. And yeah, you can obviously tell, he studied under Eisner and has done a lot of good work, but his art is just so strange. It's very singular. I really can't compare it to anyone. Even the wash stuff. I mean, the wash stuff kind of, it's a little more, other people were doing that kind of thing at the same time, but specifically like the art style of the two stories we're going to see tonight. It's so cool and weird. And it's experimental, it's cartoony, it's just extremely unique and fun to look at. So yeah, I love these.
What titles do you think of when you hear Jerry Grandenetti? What's the first thing you think of as far as a book?
I mean, I think of the war stuff. I think of Our Fighting Forces and All American Men of War. But, you know, I went through a big war comic phase. And so that's the stuff. Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is your first?
So I associate him knee-jerk reaction with creepy, eerie, his early 70s output or whatever, late 60s, when he was in this mode. So seeing his more buttoned down Kanigher approved style from the mid 60s, early 60s was very different to me. And I also like the House of Mystery. I think he did a ton of stuff. I think that's where I first ever saw him. It was like, holy shit, who is this? And I was also wondering, who are your, like, if you had to describe him to a comics fan who doesn't know him, what would be your compass points or your reference points? Because the one thing I can think of is just like Ditko a little bit, like when Ditko's just kind of freewheeling and just doing some cool stuff and just like, I don't care about making a superhero book. I want to draw something interesting. I feel like he goes there, but that's one of the few reference points I have for him.
I think that's a really good one. I couldn't think of any. His stuff is just so unique, but you're right. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. His stuff is like, what if Ditko did do drugs? Then maybe that's what Grandenetti's style is.
So I guess bottom line, you're a fan, it sounds like.
Yeah, I love his stuff. Love it.
I am. I don't know if I would categorize this as his best work that I've seen from him.
No.
There are times in here where it feels a little slapdash, and we've had this conversation throughout the season of like, sometimes it's like, I know this artist, I know that they're really talented, I know they're getting the best paid rates of their life and they get to keep the art. Why does this not look good?
Yeah.
And we haven't got an answer yet. I feel like we rarely see people's best stuff. I feel like that Shaken Scorpion stuff was like the first time where it's like, okay, somebody out here is blowing the doors off. Like,
well, I also think because that was it was the first thing he got to write. It was like he was young and hungry, passion. Like a lot of I mean, Grandenetti was born in 1926. You know, like he's none of these. A lot of these guys aren't very young at all. So.
Do you remember from your research which types of stories Grandenetti preferred working on, genres?
I thought I remembered him talking about the Warren stuff most favorably in the few interviews that I read.
That's my impression as well. Just want to make sure I was... Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of him. I think that he might be divisive among people, particularly people that are like more into modern superhero comic aesthetics or something. Like, this might not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally fine. This is art, right? No disputing taste. But I love his stuff, so I come at it pretty biased towards appreciating his very eccentric and unique style.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, you want to dive into the story?
Yeah.
All right, so I will just read this this opening bit. It says, "Location, England, the place Stonehenge, shrouded by mystery and superstition for centuries, now spotlighted again by the black arts." So yeah, we get a robed figure who's just like, "I'll show the fools." Then begins a nice chant talking about Master of the Dark, and he's kind of conjuring using it's from the Station of the Cross, right? It's
yes, Latin.
Yeah.
We adore you or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he's conjuring something up, and then, he conjures this demon and sends it right into this little, I don't know, Baphomet looking doll, I guess. It's like Baphomet, but it's more just like, what if he was an action figure?
Baphomet babies?
Baphomet babies. Yep, that is a perfect description. But you get everything you're going to need to know about his art style on this first page. It's very exaggerated and very weird and unique.
Yeah. And personally, I mean, I love, I believe GCD does not have a credit for the colorist. I thought the colorist did a ton of the lifting of this issue too.
Right. And it hasn't been every issue. It's only been like a few, but at least like 4 or 5 issues that we've talked about so far this season. I've been like, God damn, the colors really, bring it. And the colors really, really work to elevate everything. not one color credit is on GCD for Atlas stuff that we've come across so far.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, we had crushes on mysterious colorist women in other seasons, like Petra Goldberg. We're just like, I love you. If you're out there, please email me. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Yeah, see, I would do the same thing.
We have no idea who these people are.
I know. It's so weird and kind of sad.
Yeah, so art-wise here, like this second panel, I think that's super striking with the shadows. And like you said, I think you get everything you need to know about Grandenetti from this, at least his work on this issue, this first page. If you're not digging this, you're probably not going to dig what follows. But I like it, but at times it felt a little broad strokey to me, and we'll talk through it as we go. But there's definitely times where like there's just panels that sing, and I just completely vibed with, and there's other ones where it's like, and you did this on a napkin in a bar, right? Like this is no, oh, okay.
So, I mean, you brought it up, and so we have thought about it a lot of all these great artists getting the best rate of their lives. For me, it has to be a time crunch. I don't think they were given all the time in the world. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I know we don't have a ton of evidence to say that, but that's the only thing I can think of, especially with this.
Yes. And we also know that most of them kept their, right. It was a DC or somebody made people sign a thing saying you won't work for these guys. But most of them were still day jobbing for one of the big two. So they're probably sneaking it in on top of their already full schedules, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, no, that's a great thought, because I really think that probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that would be my guess, was that they were happy to do it, hoping it would last, and were just kind of sneaking it in on top of their piles of work they had at home already.
Yeah.
Or at the office. So, okay. So yeah, moving on from Baby Baphomet. So it continues here. We see these people storming into Stonehenge, and we find out that it's this guy named Bruno, and he's, this wizened old man. He's kind of insane looking, and he's completed his task, and they jump him, and they've got they're the white coats. So these are the dudes from the local asylum, and it's time to get him back to the sanatorium. He says, "Too late, my work's finished, ha ha ha." And we see again that Baphomet doll in the foreground, loaded with evil potential, and a little girl comes through the stone, and she says, "Oh, what a cute doll!" And so, yeah, this is all in motion now. And so the final row here, she trembles as she picks it up, and she says, "Yes, I understand. I must hide you." And she takes it home, and then she gets another command, and she says, "Yes, master, I will come."
What a cool panel. That last panel, I love. That
last panel, my favorite of the page.
It's so neat. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you say, the story is pretty rote, gets a little brutal, but yeah, Grandenetti's art just elevates it and makes it interesting.
Yeah. And, just looking at this page, like, I think, there's stuff on here where it's kind of just like, just again, cartooning is not, people sometimes use cartooning as a negative. We're huge fans of cartoonists. Mm-hmm. Reducing things to simple forms and being expressive with not being photorealistic is its own separate art form. But there's stuff in here where, like, I think people might be turned off to some of this, but like, I almost feel like Rick Geary sometimes. Like,
oh yeah,
sometimes he reduces stuff to super simple things where it reminds me of like Rick Geary's like Treasury of Victorian Murders or something like that, where it's just kind of like
stuff.
Me too. Absolutely adore it, but it felt so weird flipping through a heavy metal issue of heavy metal and having, some sexy alien with tits out and somebody's cutting somebody's head off. You turn the page and there's Rick Geary and some like button down maid with a bloody axe, like what the hell just happened? But, yeah, so I mean that's another touchstone for me. Is like it's almost like Ditko meets Rick Geary.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I can definitely see that in there. All right, so yeah, kind of just you know where this is going. He says, "Yes, master, I will obey. And then, she grabs a knife. And I like her mom. It's just like, Anna, I've told you so many times not to play with knives. And she's just like, yes. I don't know. Her face there. Do you remember? I should have looked it up. Do you remember like the dolls who were like bombs in The Dark Knight Returns?
Oh, whoa. Yes.
Wow. Isn't her face look like those guys?
Totally.
Like, it almost makes me think if it's like some kind of, nod to Grandenetti or something. I know it can't be, but it's so weird. It looks exactly like them. I can't remember. One's Billy. I can't remember what the other, but the girl one looks exactly like Anna.
Yeah, no, I did not make that connection at all. I kept thinking, like, as she gets more and more like evil, it almost reminded me of like that Looney Tunes where there's like a gangster, like Babyface so-and-so that escapes, like, or something like that, and like hides out as a baby, and like Bugs Bunny, like, I remember just like there's this very adult, like, malevolent face on a little kid body just is very weird to me, like, that kind of disconnect. So it's funnier than it is creepy. But
yeah. So yeah, poor Kitty. She's like, go outside with Kitty and play. And then, but it says as the days pass, Anna redecorated the empty servants' quarters to make her guest feel more at home. So yeah, she's got it says a pentagram, but that's
home plate.
Yeah, it's home plate. Yeah,
Pentagon.
Yep, it's a pentagon basically. But and then her dad is saying to her mom, like, oh, she hasn't eaten enough to keep a bird alive for the past week, and so they're like, let's call the doctor.
Yeah, we've encountered this before. I think we even encountered this in our Son of Satan season, which seems really wrong. Of like an artist who didn't understand that a pentagram is a 5-pointed star and not a pentagon.
Yes, that was way weirder in Son of Satan, but this is also very weird.
Yeah, it's very goofy. Yeah. So I like her little altar she made. I like that she's taken over the servants' quarters and made it her lair to the Dark One.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. You would think Grandenetti did work for, Warren. Did he not ever? I mean, I know he can draw a howitzer to beat the band, but yeah. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't as familiar with the dark arts. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't think he's that into it, not as much as we are.
Not.
He's definitely not a hippie, right? He's not into that kind of like where it bleeds over into the occult hippiness.
Yeah,
he's not young. Yeah, here again, like just the coloring, particularly in that Pentagon panel, is really strong to me. That kind of like not monochromatic, but the two color kind of thing with the candlelight and the moonlight. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so the story, again, very old time radio, very like just kind of by the numbers again, which we found comforting when we talked about like Monster Hunters on the Shadow Show. It's nice when you know where you're going sometimes. Yeah. Just look out the window and take in the sights. So that night she everyone's asleep except for her. I will do it, master. And like her face is getting kind of more contorted, which almost kind of like seems to be echoing The Exorcist or something like that, like as like the demons settling into Reagan, like she's just getting more like wizened and creepy and whatever, like kind of old and diseased looking. And here, kitty, hiss, hiss. I've done as you asked, master. We cut to a head. So again, this is probably, I don't know if this would be something the code would care about, but I feel like this might be something that was just carrying on Jeff Roven's work of being a little bit edgy and just pushing the boundaries a bit. Also, Playdate with Satana much? Come on.
Right.
Yeah, we saw Satana do this exact same thing, literally. So she doesn't have the flu, but her pupils are all weird. And like, yeah, she's like hypnotized, man. And like, what would cause that? And then we got to the doll, the Baphomet baby, just sitting in the corner, just radiating malevolence, just watching the whole scene through his glass eyes. Yeah. Man.
It's really good.
And, I can see on that last panel, like how people might take issue with like, those scribbly lines of showing the radiating energy coming out of it, where it's like, that looks rushed. Like that looks like something in, like I don't know, Sergio Aragonés or something like that. Some kind of like quick, mad joke panel, like one panel joke or something like that, I don't know.
I
mean, like it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. I know you and I both like it, but no, he does different things. I mean, look back to the panel where the cat is dying. Look how the light and the shadow is being drawn off of that candle. Like, it's fucking awesome.
It's like more of a reference to Van Gogh than anything else, right? The way he's treating light, like Starry Night or something.
Yeah, no, this is way more interesting to me than just someone trying to just draw a straight up horror comic, the way they think that we all expect a horror comic to look.
Yep. And that panel to the left of this that you were just showing, again, the red and the blue, like whoever did this, the colorist deserves a credit.
Yeah, they really do.
Like that makes a lot of this stuff sing.
All right.
Okay. Is it me? No, I just did that page. It's you.
Yes. Okay. All right. So this next page, we start out and Anna's mom, of course, like, oh, where's the cat? Have you seen the cat? She's like, nope. And then suddenly old Tom comes in. And God, his face is so great. He's just like some kind of weird clay face mug kind of it's so weird and cool.
It looks like a coffee mug you'd buy at a like a jumble sale or whatever, right? Like at the church bazaar.
Yeah.
So look at this ugly fucking coffee mug. Look at that face. I gotta have this.
Yeah. So he comes by and he's just like, oh, you say your cat's missing? Well, wow, I've been missing 3 cats and a dog. Came to see if you've seen them. And then next panel, oh no. And it's a pretty brutal altar, And so, she has slaughtered all of the animals and it's just like, yes, tonight, master, tonight. And we go down to the mom's offering poor Tom a piece of cake with a bloody knife. She looks at it. Oh my God. And she's like, what is it? It's like, oh, I just remembered something important. He's like, right, see ya. I'm out of here.
Oh, man. Yep. Chugging along. We all know where it's going. I do like this next page here that starts with a very EC kind of throwback, like the bit, just giant beads of sweat running down her face as she's calling her husband, saying, just get home as fast as you can. She rushes in to explore, squeak. Again, there's all this, like these cool angles, just kind of heightening the tension. And I'm like, God, what are you doing? And then we have look at her like cheeks, those radiating, just like scratchy lines, just showing this kind of fever pitch of like just madness coming off of her. And that, you have to imagine she has that same voice. Mercedes, I forgot who did the voice in Exorcist, but fool, you should have waited, something like that. I would have spared you till tonight, till Candlemas Eve, the night when evil walks the earth. But now that you've seen, now that you know, I have taken over your daughter's body as well as her mind. I can spare you no longer. You have witnessed the forbidden, and now you must die. As Dad busts in, Jean, where are you? And a scream rips out from elsewhere in the house. Again, like this face of the girl here in the bottom left, like this is very much what I was talking about, where it's like that Looney Tunes, where it's like just a gangster with in a baby carriage hiding out.
What was that movie? I think it was with Lon Chaney Sr. It was called The Unholy Three, I think, right? Where it was the little person who was impersonating the baby.
Yep.
I fucking love that movie.
I have not seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I love that. I need to revisit it as well. I think
they made that twice. I think they did it once with sound too. Really?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw that one. But it's not the one with where he's playing the knife thrower with no arms.
Isn't that West of Zanzibar?
That's West of Zanzibar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I also love.
Also awesome, yeah. Lon Chaney Sr. didn't make a bad movie as far as I can tell.
No. I love his
son, however.
His son, Creighton, however. Yeah.
Sorry, what were we saying?
I was going to say that last panel, I love it, but it gave me very Dick Van Dyke coming into a room vibes.
He just sees a chimney sweep.
He does. So, all right. Yeah. So, yeah, we know what's going to happen. So, yeah, he comes in. My God, what? He says, good. Now you're here. I can get rid of your meddling too. You see, I needed a body to possess, and your daughter was the perfect host. After all, I couldn't be inspected to remain in the form of a doll forever. could I? And then, and it comes out. The spirit comes out of the doll towards the dad, and it's just smash, and the doll is ripped in half as the spirit is let loose. So yeah.
So this will be a place where I kind of feel like his kinetic loose style doesn't serve almost, which seems counterintuitive to me, but I mean, this transition from her, like those 4 panels, feel a little goofy, and the fact that Baphomet doesn't look scary, looks more like just Aardvark or something.
Yeah,
it doesn't help.
No,
the last panel kind of salvages it as it's escaping from her like a vapor and taking physical form. That's cool. But yeah, I don't know. There's points where Grandenetti's, I think, like we were saying, I think he was banging this out as a extra money project, and it kind of shows. Okay, so the big finale here. Goodbye, Immortal. Tonight is Candlemas Eve, and I have work to do. So he's rearing up. Flames are rising. And we cut to the very typical ending of any of these types of stories where they're wee, 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 and the police are there. And we cut later to the same sanatorium that the dude from the beginning went to. And sure enough, the dad is actually roommates with this guy. And, the guy's saying they think I'm crazy. They don't believe I can actually talk to the devil, but I can. I'm a servant. I give him life. And he's holding the doll. But you already know that, don't you? Ha, ha, ha. And the dad's saying, no. Pretty corn dog.
It's pretty corn dog. Yeah, definitely. But with Grandenetti's art, I enjoyed the ride for sure.
I love that bottom left of the dad looking out the barred window. That's fucking fire.
So good, right? It's so awesome. Yeah. So, all right. Should we move on to the middle story?
Let's do it.
Okay. So this one is called A Matter of Breeding, and script by Russ Jones and art by Mike Sekowsky. Who, wow, we've seen a lot of this guy. So much Mike Sekowsky. Yeah, he is the workingest of workers. And it was funny. It was a bit of artistic whiplash, as we get sometimes, going from Grandenetti and turning the page and being like, man, okay. Like, he can't even draw a werewolf good.
I actually might disagree with you on this one. I kind of like the design of this monster. Like, it's like the one thing I like about this whole story he draws is like, I kind of like the way this guy looks like, who's that Spanish guy we love? Jose Molina, or whatever is his real name.
Paul Naschy?
Paul Naschy is his
he does kind of look like Paul Naschy a little bit.
The later, like the versus the Yeti or whatever, like those, like the later 70s one, he kind of looks like him. And I kind of like that.
I thought a little bit the Boy Who Cried Werewolf too.
That's actually the one I was trying to think of.
Okay,
you're right.
Gotcha.
That's the one where they live out in the cabin in like Northern California, and the dad turns. Yes, that was what I was thinking of. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, he definitely looks like that. It's not bad, but I think you may have liked it a little more than I did. But this one is, again, like, I don't know. All these stories, they're fun, and the art is sometimes okay, but these stories are like what the worst story in a Tales from the Crypt comic would be.
Yep.
And this one is no difference.
They're old.
Yeah.
They're old in 74, 75.
Yeah.
These are old stories.
Yeah, which is funny. It made me think, like, and we'll talk about it, how, much this comic changed, but, and it didn't seem like Martin Goodwin was super happy with what was here. But I'm like, you're an old fuddy-duddy who likes old-timey shit. Like, this is as old-timey as you're getting. Like, here it is, the horror comics. And this is a guy who, did great horror comics, did Menace, for fuck's sake. Like,
yep.
I know. But anyhow, it said, I won't read all of the opening narration, but it's just, talking about, how could Irene have known the experiment would go wrong? So there's this experiment with hair growth that we're going to get into. It's that $1 million. It says, and now she was ready to cash in her last chip. It all had to do with the hair experiments and a matter of breeding. And then, yeah, she's being strangled by this werewolf by saying, no, please don't kill me, Chester, please. And Chester, I know, her collaborator is in the back dead. So, yeah. I do kind of, I don't know, and I know it's a corny throwback thing. I do kind of sometimes love a story happening with the very last, starting with the last thing that actually happens in the story. There's something kind of, I like it. I don't know if it's considered corny. I think it's kind of cool.
I think that the Flash Forward got back into style like in this century, and now is hackneyed again. Mm-hmm. But it always works for me. I always enjoy a Flash Forward, and then like, how did we get here? I'm inclined to enjoy those.
No, I mean, it's Sunset Boulevard. Like, yeah, and I love that. So, I mean, that's the best one. And so that's always going to make me, kind of dig this way of framing a story. So
my issue with Sekowsky here is like, I feel like within one panel, like he'll be amazing and then terrible. I know his best work is behind him, so I'm not judging Sekowsky's body of work on his Atlas Seaboard output towards the end of his life. But like for me, again, we might not agree, but I think the monster design is cool. I love his use of blacks and shadow. I love the silhouette of the lab stuff in the background. It's amazing when you get into people faces, and this is my issue with him throughout all of his Atlas output, is I hate the way he draws people's faces. Everyone looks like a corpse or like a matchbook drawing or something. Like everything just looks rushed or half baked. But the top half of this panel, the creature and the science stuff, I think is amazing. I love his blacks, his inks.
His inks are really good in this story. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like his faces are so terrible. It just brings down everything good that he does on a page. When you go to the face, you're like, oh God, does he know what human beings look like?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep. There's some identikit stuff in here for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's check this out. So, we meet these people. This whole concept is kind of berserk to me, by the way, that they're the hairpiece business had been booming. Fortunes were being made. Irene Waring and her partner, Andrew Morrow, were unlucky. So we meet these people, Andrew and Irene, and they make hairpieces for people of all, hopefully upper tier people that are rich, they can give them a lot of money. They're really good at it. But also, Andrew is a scientist, and he's been working on a hair tonic. Just this idea of like being a hair stylist, hairpiece designer that's also doing science in the background is the most absurd. Like only in a kid's horror comic would this make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
But we meet Chester Potter. He comes in and he's balding, and he's like, "Hey, I want a hairpiece," and like, "Hey, here we can do this. This is what movie stars use." He's like, no, I want something like real good, real good. And so, like this guy's like, well, I've developed this thing in my lab over the years. I just don't have the money to get over the line. I can't quite finish the work. And the guy's like, money? All I have is money. I just want hair. I mean, all these things are the broadest, silliest, whatever. And so Andrew's saying, well, hey, if you invest in this, you be an investor in the company and you get a full head of hair out of it. He's like, fucking A, dude, where do I sign? So he's stoked.
Yeah, he is very stoked. I like in that second row the his face when he's like, I'd like to have a hairpiece made. He's holding his hat. Yeah, I know. It's it's pretty ridiculous.
He looks like Clint Howard.
He does. All right. Yeah. Next page, we realize that our pair have been extracting the hormones of a wolf named Fang. They're putting him into kind of tablet form, and I like so. But what did you think of this? So I don't understand what's going on with him and the pill bottle. It's a crazy illustration.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what my notes were for this. I think I just said the art is so rushed looking and almost is accidentally psychedelic.
Yeah, it is. Like there's so much weird going on there. I'm just like, oh, that's so wrong, but also like really strange and kind of cool. But I don't think Sekowsky intended that to be. But sometimes sometimes stuff happens. And so, yeah, they're very excited. And Chester comes in and with the partnership papers. And he's like, oh, well, here's our fruits of 8 years of work. Now we can sell them in chain shops all over the country. And so he's like, you mean these tablets will grow hair? They're like, oh, see for yourself. Take 2 before bed tonight. Now should we sign the partnership papers? And so, yeah. So he's signing the papers before he knows if the pills work, by the way, just in case you're keeping track. No.
You got to spend money to make money in hair, Jacob.
That's why I'm always going to be poor. I don't understand business.
I just love the way he's drawn there as he's like beholding the bottle of pills. Like, oh, gee, shucks.
What? His face.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so weird.
My brother Ron can use these too.
They'll both need them real quick.
Yeah. So again, Goofy, just art wise here. I mean, I love that thing we were talking about with the just sticking highlights of a nose and glowing eyes in the middle of a black face. Like, it almost feels like an afterthought. It's almost like somebody dropped acid in his shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, like that first panel, like just their faces, it just feels like some like weird drawing you'd see on like a tiki bar menu in like the 60s or late 50s. Like it's so weird. It's hard to describe how weird it is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So again, I'm very tickled by the fact that Andre just does science on the side.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
it's a side gig. Hair is where the money's to be made.
How hard could this be?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's science. Come on, nerds do it. So yeah, Chester's excited. He's takes these pills home. He pops them at night, and in the meantime, Andre and Irene are kind of like, oh, this fucking idiot. All right, we got this cash cow here. Just string him along, and hopefully we can just just drain him money, flirt with him, and we'll get all this money. And she's like, what's in those pills? It's wolf hormones. I once heard an ancient theory that they could grow hair on humans. I tried to prove it, but I never finished my experiments. But don't worry, the hormones are harmless. They won't hurt our boy. As he's holding up a martini glass or a coupe glass full of bubbles, like very old fashioned. Yeah, ancient theory. Right. The first thing I thought was like, yeah, they also used to think that stomach aches were caused by trolls in your guts. Like, yeah. What does that have to do with anything? We didn't know where babies came from for like to like 2,000, 3,000 years ago.
Inside every little boy. It's a system of pulleys. Okay, we got a drink for that.
Okay. So yeah, then they cut back to home. At Chester's home, and he's already starting to transform. His head's throbbing, but he looks up and he sees some hair, some sprouts on the top of his dome there. He's like, oh, it works. I'm growing hair. He's an excited boy.
Okay, back to that glass.
The emoji for a cocktail.
It's so dumb and weird. It's like he doesn't know what glasses look like.
Yeah. It's like someone described a glass to a blind person and they put a pencil in their hand.
Sometimes I think with Sekowsky, sometimes I think he tempts stuff in and then just doesn't go back and finish it. That's what that
feels
looks
like. That.
Yeah.
I do like the way that Andre is drawn in that panel, though. Like, there is something to this rough, kind of raw immediacy to Sekowsky, where it feels kind of brutal and just immediate that I respond to when it works.
I respond to it as well, but I think we've dealt with enough of his stuff. The way that he draws women is so weird.
Yeah,
it's always the woman that he draws, and like look at her, like her
Irene.
eyes. Irene is just like it is. We've said it so many times. I hope people get our reference on identikit. I really do. I hope they do. If not, please look up what an identikit is, and because you will understand so many of our references over the last 5 years.
Yeah, hopefully they've already Googled that.
Yes.
But I mean, I know he's not including the other side. Well, again, the light source is unclear, but it seems like it's coming from panel right. So that's why there's a line on right side of her bridge of her nose. But because it's not defined on where the light source is, it feels like the bridge of her nose is like 2 inches thick. Like she's a boxer or something. Like
Yeah,
it's the choices are so strange, and her eyes are so wide set apart that she looks like a flounder or something. You know?
I know it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense to me. But okay, so yeah, next page. Yeah, Chester shows off his new hairdo. It's a miracle. The tablets are working already. And they're like, oh, I knew it would. Do you have any side effects? And he's like, I had a headache, but who cares? I feel like a new man. And then next, yeah, they're very excited about Chester's hair growth. Like, oh, we'll make a fortune with this new process. How soon can Andre put it on the market? And they're like, oh, well, you know, he's working on it. More effective tablet. It'll be ready. But she's like, oh, you're so handsome now, Chester. And it seems like Andre it's like stifling a laugh as she's complimenting poor Chester. It's like, glad you like it, Irene. And then yeah, they're just like, the sap's falling for it. And yeah, look at Irene. Look at what is she even? I don't even know what that is.
It's like something from a Fu Manchu book, right? It's like a Eurasian temptress, you know, whatever. It's like this vague. I don't know. Like, look at the previous panel for where. I mean, that's like matchbook. Like, can you draw this? You might have a career in the arts.
Can you draw this duck?
Can you draw this duck?
Yeah, but then look at her in the first. Look at her in the goddamn first one. She doesn't look the same in any panel. It's so bizarre.
She's so severe there. Look at her.
Yeah, it's so disconcerting. But yeah, and then at the bottom row, it's like, little did Andre know just how soon. And then we see Chester, the pain, I can't stand it. But then, yeah, it says he had no idea what happened to him. His mind no longer was his own, but that of an animal. And so, okay, so I had to really look at this last panel to kind of figure out what was going on. I still don't know if I can.
Yeah, I know I like it.
I like it. It's three hands. I don't know where that third one is coming from.
Well, isn't it? Aren't they doing like the JCPenney or the Kmart like double portrait thing?
Where they are. It's true, but I still didn't know. I don't know. It's just badly done. I know what they're trying to do, and this isn't a design on the werewolf thing.
He's doing this in the main thing, right? And then the bottom right is like just kind of like an imposed like extra him.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Okay, I can kind of see it.
Is there a third hand?
Because there's him kind of doing this, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the main thing is this. And I think the eyes are just more like impressionistic, like just like his eyes. Like if it was film, like his eyes would be darting back and forth in extreme close up or something.
Yeah. But we did just spend 15 seconds talking about what happened in that panel. So
broken mechanic.
I think that means it failed.
Fair enough. Yeah. I do love the panel though, but you're right. Yeah. I did not linger on it as long as we just did talking about it. I don't know what something about me responds to the way this thing looks. I just love this kind of long face, like goat, like it's like a goat man more than a werewolf.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I really dig it, and I love the mouth on it too. It looks cool. It's like half Bigfoot, half goat. Okay. So next page. This is one of my more troubling. Again, like I kind of like when Sekowsky goes nuts. I can't tell if he's doing it on purpose. It's awesome. If he's being lazy, it irritates me. But I like it either way.
Yeah.
So now the animals in Chester's taken over. We see him just darting across from a parked car and a dead woman in the street, and then we get a second panel, which I would say controversial would be an understatement. He's in the background. He's throttling a woman, and she is. How do you describe this, Jacob?
I have no clue. She looks
mostly
like
shadow.
She's mostly shadow. Her face has become one of the comedy and drama masks.
Yeah,
in a way,
totally.
It's colored half yellow, half red, with some black in the middle. It doesn't look like a human being. It just looks like some phantom with a mask, a vaguely human mask on. Weird.
It's unsettling.
It's very unsettling, but also I'm just like, that makes no sense.
Her hand, like she's grabbing the monster's hand, trying to pull his hand off as he's throttling her. And like her hand is like a suggestion of a hand. Like it's the most vague, wispy, like this is the weirdest. It's like a kabuki mask.
It is. Yes, that's a great description.
And like, but her hair is fully drawn, fully inked, fully colored. And then her face goes into this horror show. Like you said, half red, half yellow. I think it's meant to suggest like he's in where nightclubs are. So like there's like neon signs. That's how I read it. It was like, oh, eat at Joe's, or, cocktails here and blah, 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 hot jazz.
Yep.
And like, he's still drawing the 50s because that was when he was roaring. But yeah, it just comes off as a very psychedelic, weird, and unsettling image.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the way he intended. Maybe he did. I don't know. We get a nice panel here of another, I'm assuming it's that same woman dead as he trots off in the background. This very simple color palette, super effective. Meanwhile, we cut back to Andre and Irene talking to Chester. He's like, oh, she's like, you look exhausted. Are you okay? He's like, oh, I've had terrible nightmares. And Andre says, it must have been a winner. Huh? Here, have some coffee. So, yeah. After Chester leaves, Irene is looking at what my eyes said was a dead wolf taped to the ceiling, but it's actually them looking at a rug in the distance. It's like a goddamn optical illusion, right? Isn't that like the fucking house at Enchanted Forest? Where it's like, wait a minute, is it on the ceiling? Is it? And the wolf's dead, and she's like, what killed it? And he's like, I extracted too many hormones, but I have enough pills now to market. So get some crates, we'll ship these off. We've got $1 million shipment to go out. Meanwhile, Chester is out there doing his thing, racking up bodies, and we get this crazy, the creature looking back, casting a shadow on a wall, and in the foreground we get two dead people, and they're purple. Like the color palette has just gone full. Trying to remember that Werewolf by Night issue, when Mantlo colored it, and it was just like this bird, he's blue, and this thing's like, the sky is purple, and this thing's green, and the sun is pink, and like it felt like that. Where it's just like, holy, this is like a blacklight poster, and now I have to drink because I said blacklight poster.
You did. God, we don't want it, but it is a blacklight poster.
So I like it, but I don't think it's well done. I don't think it's intentionally interesting. I think it's an accident.
Yeah. Weird accident. So weird. All right. So we're on our final page. And so, yeah, Chester now realizes, he's like, oh my God, I've turned into a monster. It's those tablets. They've turned me into a beast. And then he drives off. And then Andre and Irene are just like, well, there goes the shipment. Remember, not a word to Chester about it. And they're like, he doesn't care. He has hair. And then Chester's smiling and like, that's how they did it. And then he comes and attacks them. It's like, I trusted you. You turned me into a beast, but all of my revenge now. She's like, Chester, no. Oh man, that's a crazy drawing of Chester right there. That is just, I don't even know. It just his whole thing. Like he is like smeared lipstick almost. This entire page.
Yeah, it's like Laura Dern's mom in Wild at Heart.
It is, yeah. Oh man, it's and so yeah, she's just like, Chester, no. And then it says Andre never knew what hit him. What happened? He died before he hit the floor of a heart attack. And Chester's like, you're next, Irene, and then me. This horror must end. Your product must never get on the market. She's like, no, Chester, no. And then
didn't we establish when he first changes that his mind is not his own, and now he's fully sentient?
Now he's sentient, and pretty sure the shipment just is off, right? So so he did nothing. And then we cut to the following morning where the police discover 3 bodies and a dead wolf. I love the cop. He's just kind of like sitting with his hand on his chin, just like, I doubt if we'll ever solve this one. It's just like, you just got there, dude. You didn't try at all. It's like, well, maybe the wolf killed the three women, but we can't be sure. What's that slip of paper? And they're like, it's a shipping receipt. Woman's hand for 10,000 bottles of miracle hair replacement tablets. Boy, what will they think of next? And and that says, and so Chester Hand won the battle, but the war was yet to begin. The end. I
have many issues with this. However, the the trope of like the evil, like in The Thing, right? If this gets out of this continent, the planet has like 3 days or whatever, in 1 week. That concept of like the evil being sent out and like The Ring, anything. I'm a sucker for that. I always like
it is cool.
This pessimistic ending to things. So it salvaged some points there at the end for me, just based on that.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah. Yeah. I just thought it was weird that maybe it's just part of his condition of becoming this thing. Maybe the hormones settled in and with his brain chemistry and he actually got his consciousness. But it was just weird that was explicitly saying he was not home and he was out there killing people. And then he's just thinking. No, he's just fully, like the bad werewolf from Werewolf by Night, the cop. Yeah. So, okay. Whatever. Last story. Back to Grandenetti. So we got Stakeout. This one, there's a ton of narrative text. So I'm not going to belabor it. You're welcome to, my friend. But
nope.
It definitely has that old time radio. I also love, again, these tropes are comforting to me. Second person should not mechanically work in 99% of its uses in literature, but it always appeals to me this way, especially when it's like an old time radio show where it's like 11:30 a.m. You feel the autumn breeze, blah, blah, blah. Like, I immediately walk in. It's like, I'm walking in the cemetery. I'm holding a leather, bag.
Me?
But, I love it. It's so stupid though, but like, yeah, a guy is walking in the cemetery and he's carrying like some sharpened oak shafts and a mallet, and it's called Stakeout. And we see in the foreground this vampire hand like on a tree. And so this is Jack Younger, which is Russ Jones' pen name.
Yep.
Have we figured out why he would swivel between his real name and his pen name within an issue of a comic he's writing?
Within an issue? No, I have no clue.
Like, there's no union-y type of reason. There's no...
Nope.
Unless Martin Goodman said, we got to cap out writers at whatever. Like, you can't be using somebody so much. I don't want to pay anybody more than whatever a month. And they needed him to write the story. Like, I can't think of a scenario, I guess, where that makes sense.
I can't either, though. I can't parse it out. Yeah, I have no clue.
Because I don't think he was that nuts and bolts, right? Or maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he just had these edicts that were just like, yep, do it this way. I'm not paying more than X dollars a month to anybody. And so they had to, like, Larry's just like, dude, you gotta have a pen name. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy in the cemetery is going, this is going to be a gas vampire. Ha! This place is so run down. No vampire would live here. Yeah. So we got this dude. I love Grandenetti's art in this one more than the first story.
Me too.
So the guy, this cool silhouette of this character skulking around this rundown cemetery, get more of that second person, like you do this, the wind's cutting through your trench coat, you're cold, you shiver, all that type of shit. You think of Mary. You no longer feel so chilly. What a crazy scheme. I don't know how Mary conned me into it. So we get that same thing we love from the first one, where it's just like, here's the situation. How the heck did we get here?
Yeah, I know. The art on this first page is great. I mean, the art in this whole story is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And goddamn, there's a lot of text. Like, just look at this next page.
I know.
Holy shit. I was just like, I don't know. How do I summarize this? Okay, so we flash back a few days before. We're at the Lion's Den pub where Phil, his friends kind of goad him about this newspaper article about a vampire being seen in Cobb Cemetery. We meet this rich asshole, Stan, who bets Phil $1,000 if he can stay the night in the cemetery without finding a vampire. And sure, so okay. Then he's like, and all these words, all this narration is just like, oh, he's broke. He's a working class dude. He's in love with Mary. This guy Stan's a fucking asshole. That's basically just all of what this is saying here. And he's like, oh, what the devil is he trying to prove? I may be broke, but I'm not as poor as he is. And then, nope, forget your pride. $1,000 is a lot of bread. After all, you've studied the occult. You don't really believe in vampires. Yeah.
So this is a college bar, right? These are college students.
Yes.
Even though they look like they're 35, 40 years old.
Easily
which is
35.
which is very typical for like
Yeah.
30s, 40s, and 50s horror movies, by the way, and 60s.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But then, yeah, it goes back to that narration of just like, oh, okay, we can do this. It's like, oh, in your heart, you knew Mary was right. You drove her home. She felt good in your arms. Her body warmed next to you. The scent of her hair mingled with the autumn breeze. For Mary, you would do anything. Love that last panel. So you have him you have Phil like kind of in the background there, and then you have this kind of relief of this of the action of the flashback kind of starting to fade. And I don't know, I loved it.
Dude, it's too wordy. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
However, these cool little vignettes of him throughout this thing.
So
is
awesome.
it Stan or Phil? Well, who's the hero?
Phil's the hero.
Phil. Look at that silhouette. Like, look at these little, just like this.
I know.
Like cameos, I guess is probably better than vignette. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, there are 5 of them. Yeah, throughout the page. Now, the page, it should be a disaster of a page with the 300 words that are on it.
Yeah.
But no, it's so cool. Yeah, the design is amazing.
And like this cameo where he's just almost entirely in black, like the shadow on like most of his face, like God. And same here, every cameo of him or where he's featured, like outside of the actual events is stunning.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, sometimes it reminds me of Toth, the way he uses blacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I see a lot of Toth here.
Yeah, like. Again, I'm a Grandenetti super fan. I thought the art on the first story was okay. This stuff I was gooning over. Sorry, Brad, but I was. Okay, so on the next page, he's taken he's broke. He needs the money from the rich asshole who's also flirting with his girlfriend. Look at his eyes.
Look at his eyes.
Like, that's like fucking Richie Rich, like Casper shit. Where it's just like,
so great. I loved it. I just thought it was so cool. It makes no sense, but I love it.
And again, you get that Grandenetti thing, like the Starry Night, again, of Van Gogh around the moon, like just the light just kind of playing this weird, like frenetic kind of dashes of it's not pointillism, it's actual line work, but it feels shivery and alive, and it feels like a memory of the moon above the cemetery rather than a depiction of the moon above the cemetery.
Yeah,
I love it. And him looking at us, just abject fear in his eyes. Yeah,
he's looking right at us though, which is yeah, so terrifying in a way.
Yeah, and we find out what scared him was the I think the church bell ringing midnight or something like that. And then he slips over the slab of granite, and his vampire hunting bag falls down this tomb, like this sunken like crypt. And so it says, you snap on your pen light, you see the stairs looking back up at you, dark and yawning. Again, if you take the time to read this, like the prose is actually pretty cool. It's all that second person thing. So it is super fun, and it would be a great, I considered asking you if we want to do this as a radio play, but I didn't have time. But it would do great as an old time radio episode.
Totally.
Your heart thuds in your chest. But you continue, you must. He says, catacombs. I never knew this place had them. I must get that bag. And yeah, just gorgeous art as he's going down, and says you feel the slick slime from the steps sinking into your shoes. You hold close to the damp walls, the penlight guiding every soggy step. And in the background, you can see in the silhouettes of the tombs, there is a figure, a human-like figure standing over, blocking out the moonlight, watching him. So explicit threat.
Yeah, I mean, this whole page, every page of this story is brilliant.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Every single one. This last one was great. This one, I love. Okay, so this next page is basically him like, no, it's very scary. He's in these catacombs. There are these skulls and skeletons and all this scary stuff. But, oh my God, so this panel is so crazy. I didn't even know what I was looking at first. You know. You see this, and I'm just like, wow, what is this? And then you see him. You see Phil at the very back. So we're looking towards Phil, but it's so claustrophobic. It's so terrifying, the vantage point.
Yeah, from deep inside the crypt, right?
Yeah,
like
that's where
we're among
are.
The skulls and the moldering bones. It's so cool.
Oh, goddamn, it's good. And so, yeah. So again, the narration, of course, is like, oh, You see a rat, massive cobwebs, empty sockets. You have one desire to escape. And then, and not because there was any kind of broken mechanic here, but I really stared at these panels just because it's frenetic almost, because he's trying to get away and he's just obviously kind of floundering. He says you run, you've forgotten Mary, you have remembered fear. And that middle one, you stumble and crash into dark things you do not want to see. Then at that last panel of that middle row, Buck says you stop, your chest aches, your heart thumps in your ears. And yeah, I just love his the face is strained and he's just And then this whole page was terrifying to me. It made me just kind of breathe quicker and just be oh God. For me it was claustrophobia. It was just trying to get out. And that's what that last panel and that first one is just what made you stop? It's a light as bright as day is coming from the far end of the tunnel. And he's it must be the vampire. And he pulls out one of his stakes and then boop. And he says, what? And suddenly the light goes out. So as far as a horror page, this worked so well. What is this? A 5-page story?
Yeah.
It's so goddamn good.
Yeah. This was super effective. I mean, we both have claustrophobia. I don't have nyctophobia, but I'm not a fan of the dark. So if I'm in a claustrophobic situation and it's dark, that's going to compound the fear. So I had the exact same physical reaction when I felt like my breath was a little shallow and it's just kind of trying to read through the page fast because I was responding the way the character felt. So somebody younger, Jones, Grandenetti, somebody was doing their job because I was having an actual reaction to this 40-year-old, 50-year-old book. So, yeah.
But it made me think, both of us have read so many horror comics. We both love horror comics so much. I have not had a visceral reaction like this to much. Maybe 5% of the horror comics that I've read. Yeah.
It was
where
very
you
effective.
actually are just oh my God. And it's because all these weird angles, the claustrophobia of it, and the prose too. The prose is really good, like you say.
Yep.
Yeah, whole thing, perfect.
I almost felt I love that middle row as much as you did, and I hung on that for a long time too. That last panel felt to me almost like Plug.
It's a lot like Plug. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I was loving this. So is this our last page?
Yeah,
it is, right? God damn, there's a lot going on in this story. Okay, so for a second, your heart stops cold. You're looking face to face with, and then he says, "The vampire!" And he shoves the stake into the chest of a vampire. Fear has made you strong. You knock the vampire to the ground and through some miracle, plunge the stake through his heart and into the ground below. Ah! The vampire screams out. And then the horrible twist. You aren't aware of the people around you or the movie lights that flood the catacombs. Everything seems far away, like a dream. You don't even take note of the man's body lying at your feet, the man you murdered. And sure enough, there's a bunch of lights, there's cameras, there's a director, there's a crew. My God, call the police. People have grabbed the character, the you of this story. You don't even feel the vice-like grip around you or hear the voices of your friends. You see a group of people staring at you, but you don't know why. And then, is it Stan?
That's Stan, yeah.
Phil, what happened? And the cop says, we're on location making a horror movie when this crazy kid busts in and kills the star. Or the director says that. Oh, God, no, says Mary. And then you don't feel them load you into a police car as all your attention is on one thing, the thin man looking down at you with a mocking smile, exposing two razor-sharp fangs. Vampire! Sure, pal, sure. So we got a twist and then a twist on the twist.
Twist on the twist. That's right.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, I know. 5 pages. It's a 5-page story.
Yep. So, yeah. Before we talk about this, let's do some shout outs, Jacob.
Sounds good.
All right. So, many of the show's listeners support the podcast by becoming Patreon members. There are lots of tiers to fit every budget. However, the most popular one is Pack Member. That's $5 a month. They get the weekly bonus show in video format or audio format if they choose. And they get special gated content that the tiers below that, don't get. And so they also get shout out credits in the bonus show and the verbal shout outs in the main show. And that's what this is. This is the main show.
Yes.
So that is fine folks like Ben Potter,
Blake, last name withheld.
Brad Elmore,
Brian Steed.
Brian from Marvel by the Month,
Caleb.
Dave Kennedy,
David D.
David Goodwin,
Glenn Lash.
Grace,
James Shegus.
Jared from the Swords and Scrolls podcast,
Jason W.
Jeff Fitzpatrick,
Jerry from Buffalo.
Justin the Owl,
Kyle from the Heartland.
Matt Harvey,
Melissa Watts.
Michelle from Moonlit Comics,
Mighty Morphin Blue.
new pack member, by the way.
Nice.
Welcome. Pat Svek,
Rob from Marvel by the Month.
Russ from Tomes of Evil,
We read a letter from him at the top of this episode. David.
yes, thank you for that letter, Tony Iupi,
Tim Tucker.
and Worm Drive Pro.
Yeah, thanks to all of our pack members. But, I hear there is a tier even higher than pack member. I've heard that it is the Star Gods, which we have called our celestial barbarian deities. And these fine folks get all the content we talked about, but they also get special gated content exclusive to the Star God tier. We have something coming for them. We just gave them something, right?
Well, we just we released some gated content in lieu of a new episode. However, you and I are going to record Skywald's The Human Gargoyles saga very soon for them.
I'm very excited about that. Yeah, that's going to be great. So, all right, these are Star Gods. Are folks like Ben M,
Bill Eschbach,
Brink,
Eric Hadley,
Jason Finestone,
Jesse McFerrin,
John Walsh,
Josh Link,
MJ,
Mark Nevins,
Michael Giacchino,
Ryan from Across the Bifrost, a Mighty Thor podcast,
and patron above all patrons, Jackson T. Overstreet.
Hey Jackson, what's up?
Hey.
Thanks to all of our Star Gods for your top tier support. We appreciate you very much, and I can't wait to do that Human Gargoyles thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of revisiting that Shoggoth stuff made me realize I can't wait to dig into some more Skywald serialized storytelling.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun.
All right, so I believe this this closed. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut this out. I think John Walsh closed this survey at the end of the month. Trim. So there was no letters column, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, it does kind of, but it doesn't. I don't know if they had any sales figures by the time the third issue came out, but typically anthology books have just kind of like, my favorite story was I didn't so much like, and they're kind of boring. So I can see why you wouldn't waste a page, especially when you had Grandenetti waiting in the wings to tell a cool story like that fucking vampire story.
Yeah.
Why waste a page? So the rest of the story, this existed for 2 more issues bi-monthly, and they obviously did something on the fly. They introduced recurring characters. So issue 2 introduces the Bog Beast, and issue 3 introduced Man Monster. And so Bog Beast, I mean, Jack Sparling art, John Albano writer who frequently wrote Jonah Hex in the 70s, some of my favorite Jonah Hex stories. And what'd you think of this? I was a pretty big, you and I are obviously, if anyone listens to the show, know we're fucking huge Muck Monster fans. I have yet to meet a Muck Monster I don't like, so.
I loved this way more than I ever thought I would. I was just like, why do I love the Bog Beast so much? But there's something, I don't know, I loved it. He's almost like, so he's like a traveler from some subterranean world, right?
Yeah.
And so he
Bog Beast.
Yeah.
Isn't even an accurate name.
No, it's not.
He's from the Earth's core or something. Like he's.
And he doesn't
tar.
even, I mean, he doesn't look like a swamp monster like we're used to. Like he looks like this like he looks like he has no skin. Like he's just all made of organ and viscera and stuff. But he can't speak. He can't understand, human languages. But we hear his inner monologue, and yeah, there's something really cool. I don't know. I loved this. I loved that. I don't know. I was really trying. I was really like, I read this twice. I was like, why do I love this so much? But maybe it is. Maybe it's just the Albano Sparling thing that they're just so good that they made me really care about this weird. It's not quite man thing. It's not quite a swamp monster at all. But yeah, I was all in.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, he's an alien, but instead of being extraterrestrial, is intraterrestrial. I mean, he comes from our inner Earth to the surface to explore and study us, like you said. This first story we meet him, he runs into like this man and woman who are like these revolutionary, like criminal people on the run, and they sell him out. The woman sells him out to a circus freak show, and the dude like frees him. So he learns this kind of like core lesson about humanity. I mean, I thought this had gas in this tank, man. I was totally into the story. Yeah,
me too. I didn't even mind. I'm just like, oh, they've pretty much just almost abandoned the anthology in a way. Like it's not Tales from the Crypt anymore. It's going to be like this ongoing thing. And I was like, fuck yes, man. I want more Bog Beast.
I would have been thrilled to have 12 issues of Tales of Evil with Bog Beast being the front and center, getting half of the 10 pages, and then like 2 shorts after that from a rotating cast of different creators. I would be 100% down for that.
I would too. I'd bind that shit.
So yeah. And so the next story in here, another one was this is Sutton, right?
Yeah,
this werewolf story. Sutton, gorgeous Sutton art. The story's about a guy's a complete prick. This character, I think it's in New York City. His girlfriend, he moves here from like Puerto Rico to New York City. His girlfriend leaves him for somebody else, and he's an awful person. And so like he steals this werewolf like serum from this like bruja essentially in the burrows, and like becomes a werewolf. Like he's fully cognizant, like I want to become a beast and tear these people who have wronged like my boss and my ex-girlfriend to shreds. Like he's a piece of shit.
Yes.
It's weird, and the art's gorgeous. The story is about a garbage person. So I mean, I like when I don't need to identify with every lead character. I can follow a villain and enjoy the story, especially when the art's goddamn Tom Sutton. I mean, look at this.
I know.
So the third issue introduced a new character, and we are told at the end of it that Man Monster is going to get his own book as of like the next 2 months later. And I looked in that Comic Book Artist 16. That was supposed to be Kraft. Kraft is supposed to take this book, write this book.
Mm-hmm.
So we get this weird story about this dude that's the son of an oil like baron. And he has become like an Olympian swimmer, and he's kind of washed up. His career is behind him a bit, and he's just a playboy dilettante who just wastes time and drinks and womanizes. And these 2 reporters, these women from this like magazine, are interviewing him, and he dives in like the oil well that he's showing them, this derrick off in the sea, hits a pocket, and this weird bacteria comes out. He gets covered in the stuff and becomes this reptile, scaly, weird creature when he gets hot. It's so weird.
It's so weird. I did not like it.
I liked it. It was so dumb.
I had a different. I think I was just so mad that he was first and on the cover, and Bog Beast became the secondary character, that I was just like, fuck this guy. Fuck Man Monster.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like this was like their course correction for like, okay, the Brute was supposed to be the Hulk, but we wanted something a little more relatable and not just a caveman unfrozen. And so they did this, which I think if Kraft had written it, I think it could have had potential.
Yes. If DAK came on this, then yes. I would be totally in.
this story is not great. It is Bronze Age disposable silliness, and I totally loved it for that. But I can see why you didn't like it. I totally get it. Like I love that he's wearing swim trunks. Like that made me, and I love that he has a supervillain in his debut issue. He's already got a supervillain that has a backstory.
Yep.
And it was loaded with like, no, I'll explain to you why you shouldn't be fighting me. Like, oh, okay. Wow, somebody's actually trying.
Yeah. No, I get it. You know, and the Bogby story is pretty good too, but weirdly, oh, I know, the art's so good. So I didn't really look this up. I should have. You know, Gabriel Levy wrote some stuff in a second or third issue before, I think, that we ran into. But then the art by Romero, I didn't look this up at all, and I really should have, because the art's great in this.
Yeah, this is I think his name is Enrique Badia Romero. I think he's from Spain. And he's done some stuff I've seen. He might have done that stuff in that weird Spanish anthology called Dracula that wasn't really about Dracula. That had a bunch of ongoing, like there's a sword and sorcery thing, and there's just psychedelic, trippy, sexy fantasy stuff. I believe that's where I know him from, and I fucking love Romero. I love him. And I think he might have done some Satana spot illustrations for Haunt of Horror or something, but I might be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, Bog Beast, man. I'm all about Bog Beast.
Yep.
Would love to have got. And it's funny, and I mean, maybe we're moving into final thoughts anyways, but I just love the second, how this followed the pattern. There's this specific pattern that we keep coming into, is that we love that second issue. We love either the course correction or the origin or what they're doing in the second issue. And then it just all kind of like, for the most part, comparatively kind of goes to shit in the third issue.
Yeah. Again, I'm more in on Man Monster than you are, but okay. I get it. It's also weird that they were already spinning him off without getting literally one letter.
One letter.
On his debut.
Not one figure, not one letter. So yeah, I don't know. Weird
yeah,
decisions.
It's weird stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into final thoughts then.
Okay. You want to go first or me?
Why don't you go?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, kind of just what we've been saying. Yeah, the first issue of Tales of Evil, you know, the Grandenetti sandwich is an amazing thing. And yeah, you know, I mean, I think you like the design of the werewolf a little more than I did. But, you know, the story, I don't know, the story, maybe it was Sekowsky's art couldn't carry the cheeseball story as much as I would have wanted it to, or that Grandenetti could. Because thinking of the first story about Anna and baby Baphomet, and then the steak, whatever it's called, at the end, which is, you know, they're both corny. They're both stupid stories. But Grandenetti was able to do so much with them. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the art on the first one is pretty spotty, Grandenetti, but even seeing Grandenetti at half best is great and is interesting. And even the panels that seemed like half finished for him were very interesting, and more interesting than, you know, anything Mike Sekowsky is doing in 1974 or 5 or whatever. So, yeah, not so hot on the second story at all, but that third story I absolutely loved. That weird 5-page story that was corny as hell and had a joke title was a very, very effective, tiny little horror story that really affected me. Yeah,
I think we're pretty much in agreement here. I feel like the thing where we don't agree mostly is on the second story. That to me felt like if it had actually leaned into some of the goofiness, the way that remember that story in Devilina that was about the guy who could like turn people into their DNA distant relatives or whatever.
Yeah,
like it felt like the story, like a guy wanting hair and like being turned into a monster over like wanting to have a head of hair, feels like it should be more like Rick Geary, more goofy, more like lean into that. And then the violence would be more kind of disturbing because of it.
Yeah.
Whereas Sekowsky's stuff was more like this like weird, like frenetic, like dark, crude, primitive, like a disconnect to me from the story, the tone of the story and the art. And Sekowsky obviously did some weird stuff there with that kind of like neon light flashing and the blacks on the faces and whatever. So I liked the way it looked, and the story was completely goofy and throwaway, and the art was darker. So it was a disconnect for me that didn't work. The first story, I like Stonehenge. I like occult stuff. I like Baphomet, like Satan, possession. That works for me normally, but it felt to me like Grandenetti was rushed, and it all came together for me in Stakeout. Like, I like the story. I like the second person storytelling mechanic. I could hear like the narrator of an old time radio show, like reading it to me as I read it. And like we were saying, the art is so evocative. I had a physical reaction to an exciting sequence in it. So I love Stakeout. So the first one to me was, I liked the occult stuff, but I didn't really love the art. The second one, I liked the art and the story didn't match. And then the third one, I fucking loved. So for me, it's a thumbs up and I'd recommend it, but it's uneven. Very uneven.
Oh, it's very uneven, yes. But weirdly enough, a strange 5-page story just totally made the issue very enjoyable for me. So yeah, unexpected. Well, you know, with a lot of these Atlas issues, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Again, we don't read ahead for anybody that is wondering. We read it before we record. We don't read ahead. We don't read about the issues, so we can have as fresh of a take as possible. And so, yeah, this one was uneven, but surprised me.
Yeah, pleasant surprise for me. Yeah, so we did our final thoughts there. So next up, we have Thrilling Adventure Stories. And I was telling you, Jacob, before we started recording, that this is one that actually, when people write about this, this is one of their better outputs as far as like the talent on hand that was working on it. And this was like they hired their best people. They had like I don't remember what the story was. It was like Lawrence of Arabia or something like that. They were going to do as a serial. Like, I think that's what it was. But yeah, this is supposed to be some of their best stuff. But it is like 65 pages. So we're going to have to do a thing where we each pick a story that we want to spotlight and maybe kind of hang on those two stories and then fly through the other ones or something. We have to figure out how to handle it because it is a magazine. And we did it with Devilina. We'll have to figure out how to do it for here. But I'm excited for it because this is definitely the one that's on the top of most lists of people saying like the stuff that they did that was like worth looking at today.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm definitely excited now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but first though, on the Shadow Show for our Patreon backers, we're going to be reading the first section of Hellrider. So Hellrider was published by Skywald Magazines in 1971. And they ended up doing something kind of unique, which is cool, was it's Hellrider's book, but it had multiple characters in it, 3 features that were going to be ongoing. And the first story, the origins of them, they actually wove all 3 together. So each chapter is introducing one of the features that you're going to be reading about, Butterfly, Wild Bunch, and Hellrider. And they're all in an interconnected story, the same world, the same story that's happening. And then they're meant to spin off and go do their own things later on, but be introduced together in kind of it's like starting with Avengers and then doing their solo movies kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm excited for this. It's a Gary Friedrich. And the art team is Andrew and Esposito, which, I mean, can't go wrong with that. And it's in black and white. So cool stuff. I can't wait to do that. Right. So on the normal stuff, we're on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We'd love to hear from you there. As I mentioned before, if I have forgotten to update the link to the Shoggoth Saga in the previous episode on YouTube, you can always DM us on any of these platforms and say, hey, can I get that PDF from you guys? And I will shoot you a link to the Google Drive that we made for that. And if you want to do the Bronze Age Monsters Patreon thing, that would be great. We'd love that. Every other week, we publish the Shadow Show to keep our friends happy between episodes. And we're always doing cool stuff on there. And yeah, there's also a link probably in the description here for our Discord. We love chatting with our friends and people that listen to us and talking about life, music, movies, art, what you're doing, what you're making, what you're watching, what you're eating, what you're drinking. We got all that on there. What you're playing. It's a great time. I spend most of my time online on our Discord.
Yeah, me too.
So please leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about this issue. All 3 issues of this are available on archive.org. There is a link in the description to all 3 of them, safely downloadable from archive.org. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And lastly, if you know someone that this would be a good thing for them to find out, check out. Someone you know that loves horror, loves comics, loves horror comics, share this with them. That would mean a lot. And we haven't said this for a while, Jacob. Review the show, by the way. If you're listening to the audio version of this and you haven't left a review of the Bronze Age Monsters podcast yet, you should do that. You should leave a 5-star review. It would be my preference. And
we would prefer that. Yeah. And if you do that, I love to make buttons out of old comics. We have a lot of comics that we have talked about over the last few years. I have beat up issues of all of those that I am cutting up and vandalizing and squishing into a button maker to make buttons. So if you leave us a review, hopefully 5 stars, take a screenshot of it, tell us that you left it, send it to our email, and with your address, and I'll send you some buttons. Post-haste.
Post-haste.
Yeah.
We're running out of time here.
Yeah, we are.
We're almost at the halfway through of our finale season, Jacob.
Yeah, I know.
Have you been keeping your rankings?
I have.
Okay. I just updated mine. I fell behind for a few episodes, so now mine are up to date too. Very curious to see how we are shape up in the finale.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. We should start working on our ballots for people too, so we can put those up in the last quarter of the season so people can start working on their ballots. Folks, if you don't know, if you're new to the show, we do a big finale at the end of every season, and we do put out ballots and have people vote on. Jacob and I haven't decided what they are yet, but favorite covers, favorite stories, favorite characters, whatever, and then people vote, and then we draw those out at random. We usually give out prizes, send people stuff like water bottles or shirts from our shop, stuff like that. So we make it fun. We have a good time, and we also kind of go through our own top 5s as we go, or top 3s. So it's a good time. I can't wait to do it. I'm super excited. Okay, so that's it for us. Jacob, great time talking about Tales of Evil with you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I know. We always are just like, yeah, let's blow through this. But I'm like, it's too much fun. Here it is, an hour and a half. We had a great time. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes. We should say, I don't want to anchor these in time too much, but we lost Jim Shooter.
That's right.
A very complicated character that had a lot to do with Marvel's success, a long career throughout the entire industry. A lot of mixed feelings about him. You and I both have said we admire him and what he did, even if we don't always love the way he did things. He definitely saved Marvel. And I respect the guy and his legacy. So, we're going to be publishing a cocktail recipe that our official B.A.M. mixologist, Ben, created called the Shooter Edict, which, if you don't know, the Shooter Edict, I believe there's probably several of them, but one of them was that every issue should be written as if it were someone's first issue. And so if you grew up reading Marvel comics in the 80s, you wondered why Peter Parker explained that his Uncle Ben got shot and it was his fault and he was forced to blah, blah, blah. That was a Shooter thing.
Yep.
So anyway, R.I.P. Jim Shooter. And thank you for your contribution to comics. It was valuable. We appreciate it. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. And until we see you next time, stay bronze, pony boy.